Hello, everybody. So welcome to another video. I'm sorry it's been a little while since the last one. They're going to be coming a bit more thick and fast on the Joining the Dots Startups Network. I'm really happy to have Andreea Daly with me today, who's the founder of Toovor, and we'll come into what Toovor is shortly. We're going to talk about creative people particularly and how they can improve their quality of life. I think ultimately, I mean, when people are trying to get things done, do project management and deal with the kind of environment that they're in, I think we've talked a bit already about how we can maybe make that easier for them. So Andreea, welcome today. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Yeah, nice to see you and catch up.
Yeah, likewise. So as I said, I mean, we've touched on this idea of, I mean, the overarching theme sometimes with the whole joining the dots thing is, how are these companies moving through, doing things more digitally, getting things done more quickly potentially, or trying to, get the most out of, efficiency of people getting the most out of them, or getting the most out of machines. So do you want to just give me a little bit of I don't know, maybe we start with just a bit of where you see the landscape. We're all aware of some of the software tools out there that people are using, like, Trello, Asana, whatever. Where do you see things at the moment in the market?
Software for me is, I'll start with my kind of my strapline, I suppose, that I fall back on these days. I absolutely love software. And I fell into software by accident and I've never looked back. I really do love it. But yes, I'm a geek. Yes, I love it for various kind of geeky reasons, but it's also the human element because it's very much about, I love the product. I love being in the kind of tweaking and the product management side of it, but it's the real world impact that it leads to in whatever team or organization or company that it helps. That's the real kind of benefit. And I could quite happily never touch any product ever again and still work with those teams on that sort of consultancy element to really understand what their problem is that they're trying to solve, where they are right now. And another one of my favorite phrases to use, the magic wand scenario of where would they love to be and how close can we get to that kind of ideal. If you had a magic wand and no budget limitations, then you could just wave it and get whatever perfect process in place. How close can we get to that in real life? So I get really frustrated in general with software because I feel like it's a really saturated industry as a whole, but it's also sometimes very poorly thought out because from a product and an end user point of view, I get frustrated because I just sort of think this isn't, it's the glossiness of it. It's sold as this perfect thing that will absolutely be the last app you'll ever use or the last platform, and everyone will love it and, collaborate on it. And then the reality is that it's never quite as close to that truth. And a lot of the time, it's not just down to the uptake or how it's rolled out or anything like that. It's actually can be very much down to the product itself because it's too glossy. So, maybe some of the features aren't quite as thought out as they could be or anything like that. And I kind of feel like software in general is actually getting more and more difficult for us all to manage. So I'm one of the most organized people and I have probably 20 different tabs and programs open at any one point on my screen. And I know I can't multitask like that. That doesn't make me efficient. It's just what you have to do. You have to have emails and Slack and Zoom and, all the different things that have been sent to you. Everything opens in a different product that doesn't necessarily talk to each other. And it can be really difficult managing that. It becomes a lot of noise in everyone's working world. And the next thing, we all know this, and I think we all have this to one extent or another. We're doing more than we're actually delivering. So looping back to Toovor, our product, we kind of wanted to free up some of that creative time for the creative world, which is our sort of niche target market, to just basically let them cut out as much of the admin as humanly possible and get them back to delivering great creative work, which is what they're good at and what they enjoy, and what their time should be spent on. Now, we've carved out a particular niche, but I think, software in general, I always sort of feel like we could all be doing a little bit more of that, of kind of cutting out the noise and the faff in how a product's actually used by people.
Yeah, that's great. So let's zoom in a bit on, I know this is creative people in various different industry sectors. So maybe just make it all a bit real now for everybody. Like, talk through maybe an example of how you've helped some creative people to get more done.
So our target market that we kind of work best with and are a really great fit for tends to be what we broadly call the creative world, which means anything like marketing agencies or the creative or marketing equivalent in-house. So it can be across all the different industries. Anyone that manages what is collectively in the industry just called creative activity. It can be a logo to be designed. It can be a whole website build or rebuild. It can be all the deliverables leading up to an event, back when we were allowed to have physical events. Anything that's that can be managed electronically and delivered that way. So, for example, if you had a full rebrand and website redesign coming up, you would have a lot of moving parts. You'd have one big project, but each of those elements has different brief, different deliverables, different people involved, and different timelines, right? That's just what real life is. It's not all quite so neatly packaged that we have this one thing that needs to be delivered by the end of next month. And by its very nature, if you either worked on lots of different tools or with lots of different suppliers potentially, which is the very common use case that we come across, you might have someone in-house doing the copy, for example, the actual text for the website. You might outsource the branding element to an agency. You might actually get a freelance contractor to build the website itself. Each of those might have a specific kind of preference of tool, or they might send you a Dropbox link for dumping all the files, or work on Slack for all the communications, and someone else might, the contractor might be via a freelance website, people per hour or Fiverr, and that's without even touching all the financial stuff about invoicing and budgeting and stuff like that. And the idea is that rather than trying to make one of the generic project management tools that we all know very well, Trello, Asana, Basecamp, Monday.com, fit that scenario. They each do some of those bits fantastically, but none of them kind of solve all of the problems from everyone involved in that point of view. And that's where we try to position Toovor to actually just make the whole thing so much easier for everyone to not just manage, but to see everything. So have all the conversation in one place and have all the files delivered in one place. Cut out all of the where is this email updates and meetings and status reports and all of that sort of stuff, and just provide a one central forum where everything is just as seamless as humanly possible, and everyone's, as I said earlier, just left to kind of just do the great stuff that they're excellent at, without having to spend an additional 5 hours of admin a week on it or anything like that.
Yeah, and it makes me think a bit about how digital transformation, I think we're on the same page with this, where there's some big grand sort of ideas about what that is, and it can give you a bit of a headache when you even just think about organizations when they're trying to manage themselves through that process. It sounds like I always like the businesses where it's quite practical in terms of what you're saying can be done quite quickly for a particular group of people or a particular kind of set of tasks that you're trying to manage. So where can people find out more about Toovor?
So we've got Toovor, Toovor.co.uk is the marketing website. We have the LinkedIn page as well. We're on the usual social channels if you search for our company name, and then my personal email address is hello@toovor.com, and that will come through to me, not to an unknown unmonitored inbox.
Brilliant. And we'll post the stuff down in the description as well. So thanks, Andreea. I know I'd like to talk longer, but I know people quite like short videos, so I'm going to draw this one to a close. And obviously, anyone who's watching, particularly if you're in a creative industry and you want to just sort of understand a bit more, do feel free to reach out to either Andreea or me directly as well. Right, Andreea, thank you very much. I'll see you very soon.
See you guys soon.
Take care.